Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know, we still continue with day 13 of New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax. So, right now, I believe we are doing, of course, some B block matches. No, scratch that. A block matches. Now, certain wrestlers have now eliminated from the tournament, they cannot advance even further. So, we'll be talking a little bit about that. And then we move on with TNA. As you know, they just announced two new pay per views coming up. But however, certain things have now been coming to play. For example, Josh Alexander finally explained his reasons of his actions at Slammiversary. Of course, the Ultimate X is coming back, which is in play. Qualifying matches for that has been announced and various other things as well. Then we move on with Ring of Honor, featuring the Ring of Honor tag team titles are defended. Of course, Billy Starks is trying to redeem herself with the loss of her ROH Women's Television title, but we'll see how that progresses. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing, of course, ChocoPro number 386. This is a much recent show that was released, so we'll go for all of them from A to Z. And then we cap up our episode with some very small news updates for everybody to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, and developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was not put on this episode, we can even put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. So, all introductions have set aside. Let's get boogieing. So, let's begin with our very first review, and this is from ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro number 386. This recently happened on the 4th of August, which is this past Sunday or so, but it was not released on their YouTube channel until 2 days later on the 6th. So sorry for taking too long, but I got to it as promised. Now, of course, like any other show, Mei Suga opened the show, giving the lowdown of the matches going around. However, that wasn't just a real case. She remained in the mat knowing that she will be participating as a referee. As you all know, I mentioned this on the latest Got to Move show that they had in Shinkiba. They introduced a brand new trainee named Kaho. Now, not much about her has been foretold, but she looks like a child going to school, like maybe either middle school. You see, they do exhibition matches that last up to 3 minutes. So she faces against Emi Sakura. Now I'm not 100% sure if Emi Sakura is in how do I say this, is taking measures in her training. We know Mei Suga has been capable of training new wrestlers. I mean, she already trained Miya Tsuba and her sister. I'm not sure if Kaho is one of them, or the same thing with Irikani or Hiroyi Yawada. So we'll see how that. But we do know that you know recently there many new girls have been popping up. Um, this was very interesting to see. But however, Kao has to face against Emi Sakura. However, they can take many pinfalls as they want in the 3 minutes of the time limit that they have. But it was Emi Sakura who picked up one pinfall, and this Kao did not. But however, of course, she did it pretty good. Well, um, Mei Suga kind of embraced her, telling her that it will be okay. I don't know. I feel like Kao is playing like the little sister of Mei Suga. I mean, she has a little bit of her attitude, but I'm sure Mei Suga will be proud. But we'll see how her career in Got to Move will progress from here on out. Now, our next official match, we have Hiroya Yawada teaming up with Nonaka Seto. They take on Masahiro Takanashi and Emi Sakura. Now, before the introductions were skipped because you probably can guess why Masa and Sakura were not too pleased with the fact that they lost the tag team titles to Mizuki and Saki on the last Got to Move show. You would think that they had a temper tantrum in some capacity. I mean, you can say that's what happened. But, however, there were some good moments. We did see a good cohesion between both Hiroyi and Nonoka. But unfortunately, that was not enough. It was, of course, Emi Sakura that put Hiroyi in a submission move and forced her to tap out. So that match ends in that way. Now, our next match, we have Iri Kane. She takes on Tokiko Kihara. So this is the first time she gets another singles match, but this time with a bit of a veteran. As you guys know, Tokiko and Iri are two of the oldest wrestlers that were trained under in Got to Move. Iri is in fact 40 years old. Tokiko, she's about maybe 46, 47 years old. Yeah, she's good in her, for someone her age, but she stays in top shape. But however, of course, Tokiko does have some great striking capability, and she just developed, submission ability as well, and that's what exactly she did with Iri. Iri may have the bit of the, knows how to get the crowd going and get her behind her, but that was not enough. Tokiko put her in a submission and forced her, just like what we saw with Oyi, into a tap out, and just like that, it was over. Now, our main event, we have a 6-person tag match. Team number 1, we have Sayaka, Chiko Shikawa, and Sayaka Obihiro, or as we call her, Obi, since there's 2 Sayakas in the same team, so I'll just refer Sayaka Obihiro as Obi. They face against Miya Tsuba, and of course the Best Bros, Mei Suga and Balinaki. Now, of course, the strongest team, we would think it would be Best Bros, because those two have very well cohesion. But remember, Miya Tsuba was trained under Mei Suga during. She's one of the non-Emi Sakura trainees, if you guys know this. But you would think so. But I have to say, Miya has grown so much in her time since she debuted all the way to now, because she had to deal with, of course, with Sayaka the entire time. And of course, Sayaka being one of Emi Sakura's trainees, she knows exactly what she was doing. Of course, there were moments we see both sides try to stop the pinfall or submission to ensure this match does not end. But in the end, it was Sayaka who pinned Miya, and just like that, it was over. Now, I think that was pretty much it. Now, our Jonkin tournament, we did see some interesting developments. We did see, of course, the Best Bros did have a showdown. Balinaki moved forward, but he did not make it. But there was one interesting moment in the Jonkin tournament that I think many of you would think. Now, if you guys ever see she takes the whole Jonkin tournament way, way, way too serious. She thought she lost when she had Hiroyi, and everybody's laughing at her, telling her, "You didn't lose. There was a tie." And she's like, "What?" So she was a bit confused. So Hiroyi told, "Come on, You have one more. We have another opportunity. Just come on, do it." So basically, she tried to get it together, thinking she lost, but she did not. But, I mean, she was way over dramatic, and not to be mean, that's how Shiko Shikawa is. Just to put it on record for all of you. But she was able to defeat Hiroi. But her final opponent is another fellow wrestler who's from the same generation as her, and that is Tokiko, and eventually she won. So she, being over dramatic earlier, won the tournament. So no harm was done, but I'm glad that she got her composure back. So that's how things end with ChocoPro. So I think that's pretty much it what we have with, of course, ChocoPro. Our next review is, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We are now in day 13 of the G1 Climax. Now, as we always do, we're going to focus on the A block matches. Now, first match we have Cal Newman and Tetsuya Naito. Now, this is not the first time these two have crossed paths with each other. There was a time when Cal Newman, since he joined the United Empire, he took on Naito but failed. But you ask yourself, how much has he grown since the last encounter? Now, you can say the obvious, can lightning strikes twice. Well, you can say that Cal Newman has grown significantly, but was it enough? Well, unfortunately, no. Naito was able to apply Destino, and just like that, it was over. Now, Naito received in total now of 10 points, but as for Calman Newman, he actually has 4. So technically, he is now officially out of the tournament since he has the lowest points. Now, our next match, we have the Great Khan versus Sonata. Now, we know that Sonata is one of the people that could potentially win the tournament. But however, he has to go against the Great Khan. But however, during the entirety of the match, we have noticed Sonata has been struggling through his knee. Now, I don't know how bad it is or if he can able to continue. But unfortunately, it was Khan with the Eliminator, allowing himself to pick up the win. Now, these two guys are not currently out. They both currently have 8 points. So it's still enough, but the real question is how far are they going to proceed on. So we'll just wait and see until then. Now, our next match, we have Shota Umino versus Jake Lee. Now, oh my effing god. So this is a must-win situation in this match, because here's the kicker how it goes. If Jake Lee wins, Umino's out. But if Umino wins, Jake's out. So either way, whoever walks out has to win. But you can tell in this type of match, it's a desperation between both sides. Who is going to walk out as the winner? Because this is more like either you win or you don't. But Jake Lee, of course, will do everything in his power to put a hurt on him. But Shota Umino is determined to prove why he wants to be the ace. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough. It was Jake Lee with the big boot, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match. Well, our next match, we have Gabe Kidd versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now, Gabe Kidd, on the other hand, he talks about, he thinks he's the shit. He thinks that he's the real fighting spirit. He thinks that, everybody's beneath it. He spits on the logo of New Japan. He thinks that New Japan has lost its respect, which we know is a load of horse crap because it's always about him. But when it comes to Zack Sabre Jr., he thinks that Zack Sabre Jr., you're full of shit. You're not a British guy. You're not going to be the first British guy to win this tournament. It's going to be me. Now, many people often say Zack Sabre Jr. is the favorite to win. So he wants to prove once and for all why he should be the first one to win. But, of course, there was going to be moments where Gabe Kidd is going to try to hurt him, brutalize him, however means necessary to prove his point. But, of course, Zack Sabre Jr., being slick and very technical that he is, he always finds a way. Now, of course, you would think that, he would put he would use the techers that did not work, of course. But the only thing that was able for him to put away Gabe Kidd was put him through a a chokehold, and just like that. However, Gabe Kidd did not tap out. The referee had no other choice but, of course, to stop the match, and um, you know, and the match ends like that. However, because of the result, Gabe Kidd is officially out. I'm sure he's gonna be in the post-match comments, bitching and moaning, saying that he'll get his revenge for costing him the match. That New Japan are full of crap, all of that. So who knows? But however, our main event is a very interesting one. We got Evil versus Shingo. Of course, these two guys know each other too well. They both were trained by the same trainer, Animal Yamaguchi, and they have come across each other on various occasions. Last time these two guys come across each other, it was for the Never Openweight title. Yeah, I'm talking about that hose bag Evil and the Dragon Shingo Takagi. For of course, Evil has been, since the beginning, he's been cheating. He had many straight up wins, but however, he has lost maybe 2 or 3 at the most. But of course, when it comes to Evil, we know Dick was showed up, but it turns out he's not alone. He, when of course Hiromu showed up, he helped, and then of course Kanemaru, who was dressed up as Bushi, showed up. But luckily, the real Bushi showed up. Of course, there were tactics coming from him, from Evil. Now, however, Evil got the worst luck ever. He got misfired twice. One by the Miski Whiz with Kanemaru, which of course Shingo ducked, and then of course Kanemaru ducked when Bushi applied the Black Mist, and Evil got both wind of 2 different mists. So you can say he's a dumbass. So basically that's how it ends. But it was the last of the Dragon that allowed Shingo the win. So basically he gets 8 points in total. And of course Evil 10. But the real question does tell. As I mentioned this before, with Evil, he did had a good undefeated streak, even though he cheated his way through. Now he's on a losing streak. But the real question is, can he afford to lose, or can he pick up the win to try to stay alive as long as possible? That is the obvious question. Well, we will see how far we progress in the G1. But as of right now, we end things right now with New Japan and move forward with, of course, TNA. TNA. Now, I want to get this one out of the way for everyone. Now, we do have announced that there's going to be 2 pay-per-views coming up. Reemergence, as always. And then, of course, we have Bound for Glory. So, basically, the entire time, they were drawing out battle lines for either 2 of these events. Now, of course, they did announce the return of the Ultimate X. So, throughout the entirety of this event, they've been putting themselves in qualifying matches. Now, we first begin, of course, with PCO and Steph Delander on the honeymoon. So I'm going to skip ahead on that whole story. PCO was nowhere to be found. However, it was foretold it was Matt Cardona who decided to cross the line and attack them. Of course, he's not happy with the fact that this happened, and I don't know how Steph Delander is going to take it, finding out that once again Matt Cardona got involved in her business. So we'll see what that leads. Now, however, the system, as you know, are rebooting to make progress. However, there is one particular person on their target, and that is Mike Santana. They heard what he said. As you know, Santana did say that it was a bold move coming from Moose, targeting him because he did perceive him as a threat. So I think Moose realized maybe he did not finish the job like he should have been. Like the old saying goes, if you're going to kill me, you better be sure you finish me off. Well, Moose didn't do that. He did not finish off, of course, Santana, so that's the whole story. Now, we did see a bit of an interview before the next event, before the next match that we saw. Well, apparently, Jonathan Gresham showed up, and we do not see that evil demon looking type. Kushida was like looking at him like, is this really him? So that's like the real question. So we don't know what it is. People often were talking on the comments on this one about maybe the creative team just dropped it. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Now, before we proceed to the qualifier matches, Santino Marella is talking there's going to be qualifier matches involving for the upcoming Ultimate X. Now, however, Mike Bailey, Speedball, decided to throw a little something that I think many people question: was this necessary? Come him. Now, we have seen Mike Bailey. He's challenged the best of the best. He put himself in the, how do I say, against the top wrestlers ever. So this is what he decided to do. He decided to put himself in the qualifier match to prove himself that he is a fighting champion. However, he did stated that if he loses the match and the title, then it proves that he's not worthy. So Santino knows the kind of person he is. Even though he thinks it's kind of risky, he allowed him to proceed. And that's where he jumped into the next match that we're going to be reviewing. Him versus Trent Seven versus Jake Something. Now, I know some of you are saying Jake Something really is in this one. Well, remember, the X Division means no limits. It doesn't matter the weight capability, even though Mustafa Ali has been trying to abolish that, saying that there should be weight limits. But we've seen that already. It doesn't matter. We've seen that with Josh Alexander. So it didn't matter on that. But Mike Bailey was able to survive this when he applied the ultimate weapon onto Jake Something, allowing himself to proceed even further. Now, it appears that we are now seeing a big feud between Tasha Steelz and Giselle Shaw. Now, Giselle Shaw, as you know, she was gone for quite some time and came back, but it was under the encouragement of Gail Kim, who believes in her, who is determined to make it to the top and hopefully get a shot of the TNA Knockouts World Title. But however, Tasha Steelz has stolen 2 matches from her, so Santino decided to put her in a match against each other. So basically, it's going to be 2 refs, because apparently things can get out of hand. So we'll see where that goes. Now, of course, we talk about the qualifier matches for the Ultimate X. Well, Hammerstone, as you know, wants to be part of it, and of course Santino, he has no problem with it. He said, "You know what? You're right. The X Division is all about no limits. I mean, you do fit the profile for that." So he's going to put him in the qualifier matches. However, it appears that he's going to enter a feud with Eric Young, so we may see that at some point. Now, our next match, we have Kushida versus Jonathan Gresham. Now, you would ask yourself, okay, is this a ploy, or if they're really done with the story? I don't know. But Kushida was able to defeat Jonathan Gresham when he applied the hoverboard lock, and just like that, it was done. So, we'll see where that leads. Now, as you know, the ABC has reclaimed the TNA World Tag Team titles recently in Slammiversary, or defendant Slammiversary. However, they actually put out like a message to any tag team that are willing to step up their game. However, we did see Mike Bailey, who showed up. He said that he's not here to step up. He kind of understood one thing. He did mention he wants the best and the best involved. So he told both Bay and Austin, since they are former X Division champions, that it will be an honor for them to get involved in the tournament. Now, they did say that they are going to think about it. They're going to try to sleep on it and think about it. However, Ace Austin did mention that the last time this was in play for them, it nearly caused a problem. But however, they look at the pro on this. If either one wins, double champion. So it can't be any too sweet for that. So we'll see where that leads us from that. Now, our next match is an open challenge for the TNA World Knockouts title. Now we have Jordan Grace versus Rosemary. Of course, Rosemary, we did not anticipate that she would be involved. But however, this match could have gone either way, a good match, but Ash by Elegance and her stooge decided to get involved. Of course, Ash probably is pissed at the fact that her stooge was not involved to help her out in the match. And of course, she's not done with Jordan Grace. She wants the belt. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a #1 contendership between Rosemary and Ash, or a 3-way. But if I was going to save that for Jordan Grace, I would do that at the end. And I'm sure Jordan Grace must have thought, look, I beat you fair and square. It was over. But, of course, Ash will not let that go. The fact she probably felt she should have won if it wasn't for Rosemary. So, we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, of course, for a while we've been trying to ask what has been Josh Alexander been doing. Now, of course, he talked about, being the standard of TNA and all that. So he had enough of that. So he basically, because he couldn't get to the point where he wanted to reclaim the TNA World Championship. So he called out Nick Bennett, and of course, Nick Bennett decided to be there, and then he punched him, then super kicked him, and he told him next week he'll put the title on the line. So Santino, on the other hand, made that match, of course, in the back official. But however, Frankie Kazarian feels it should have been me. But however, Santino wasn't going to play by his rules. I wouldn't be surprised either if Frankie Kazarian gets involved in that match. But we'll see what happens until then. Now let's jump into another qualifier match for the Ultimate X. We have Zachary Wentz versus Casey Navarro versus, coming all the way from NXT, Dante Chen. Now, of course, you would think in this match it would help Zachary Wentz to get his mind off after what happened this past Tuesday when we did see Wesley turn on both Zach and Miguel. But I have to say this put a perfect opportunity for Zach to get on top of himself, and he was able to apply a UFO cutter onto Dante Chen and just on Casey Navarro, on Navarro, and just like that, it was over. Now our main event, as you know, we continue between the feud between Joe Hendry and Wolfgang. Well, you would think Wolfgang will try to finish the job in the name of Gallus, because as you know, I mentioned this on the NXT review. Gallus thinks that Joe Hendry is a fake Scottish because he doesn't fit the parameter, even though he is Scottish. He looks more like a flamboyant type. But Joe Hendry, as I often say, believe in Joe Hendry, and that's what he did. So he put Wolfgang through a standing ovation, and just like that, it was over. Now, at the end of the programming, Santana decided to wage a one-man war against the system. So basically, Moose now knows, even though he is determined to reclaim his title, but there is one thing that is a threat, is Mike Santana. So I'm going to presume that they're going to try to deal with them before they make their plans to move forward. So we'll see where that leads us. But as of right now, we are done with TNA. Let's move on with our last and final review, Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor. Open up with the Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds taking on Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. Now, as you guys remember what happened last week, Dustin Rhodes was attacked by all three members of Dark Order, along with Silver and Reynolds, along with Uno as well. However, Sammy Guevara decided to save him, and that's what happened. So we did see that happening. But the real question you ask yourselves, can Dustin Rhodes and Sammy can get along? Can they work together? I have to say they were able to do so because, Sammy was determined to prove himself to Dustin Rhodes, because of course we all know Dustin Rhodes' reputation. So that played out pretty well. However, of course, Dustin was feeling a little bit, his knee was giving out a bit hint, but Sammy did much of the work as possible. He did put away Reynolds when, I think, was it Reynolds? Yeah. No, on Silver, he put him away with the GTH, and just like that, it was over. Not bad for their first win. But however, how will they do on the next time? So we are going to pay attention a little closely on this between, of course, Sammy and Dustin. Now, as you all know, Billie Starkz, ever since she lost the ROH Women's World Television title, apparently Athena stripped her from her diploma and put her back in training. However, things are not looking good for Billie. So Queen Aminata decided to put both of them in a tag match between her and Red Velvet. So that's what's going to happen. Basically, Athena is looking at Billie Starkz as the blame for all this mess. She felt that if you didn't lose this match, none of this would have happened. So that kind of went in that direction. Now our next match, we have Taya Valkyrie versus Hyan. Well, you can guess this match was done anyway by looking at it, because Hyan is not a regular member of the ROH roster, but she in fact has been with the promotion before. So she ended up losing this match to Taya with the curb stomp, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next, Melissa Santos decided to do an interview with, of course, Maria and Griff Garrison, and of course, talking about anything. Here comes Angelico and Serpentico, talking about they want another opportunity of their mask. However, they said they'll give him the mask back, but if he loses, he has to take off his mask. So you know that they're gonna cook up something to ensure they can see his face. But there's no way they can afford to lose that moment for Serpentico to lose the mask. So we'll see what happens. That's going to take place, I believe, next week, I think. Now, our next match is the ROH World Tag Team titles. The Infantry, once again, are back on the title hunt. But the real question is, can it be different from the last time? However, you would have thought that the Infantry had everything planned out. But however, once again, they used a little bit of dirty tactics. There was a moment where Bennett low-blowed the captain, and then later the Hail Mary pile driver, and just like that, they retained the belts. Next up, we have Rachel Ellering, who made her comeback. She faces against Brooke Havoc. Not back for her in-ring return until she was out of action for a while, but she was able to defeat, of course, Brooke Havoc with the Boss Lady Slam, and just like that, it was over. Now, as you know, Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty are in a constant feud with Action Andretti and Top Flight. As you know, they feel like, even though Action Andretti has been recognized as the guy who defeated Chris Jericho, and of course Top Flight, one of the best tag teams, they feel they haven't done anything. They want to prove how wrong those guys are, that they haven't done nothing, because Lee Moriarty is the pure champion. So Lee Moriarty decided that he's going to put his pure championship on the line against Action Andretti to prove a point. Now, we do have the Outrunners, along with Erica Lee. They face against Barrett Brown and Stephen Wolf. I have to say, the Outrunners seem like they're like a fun favorite group to enjoy. They were able to pick up the win when they applied the recall onto Barrett Brown, and Truth Magnum was the one who picked up the win. Not bad, so not just like that. Coming all the way from New Japan, mostly from Australia, Robbie Eagles. He takes on Darian Benting. You can guess this match was over because he applied the Ron Miller special, and just like that, it was completely over. Our next match, we have Tony Nese versus Tomohiro Ishii. Now, of course, you probably would think dumbass Sterling would get involved. He almost got himself squashed. Even Daivari tried to get involved, but it did not do any well. So, you would think number games mean something to them. But Tomohiro Ishii, come on, he's the Stone Pitbull. You know he's going to take the fight no matter what. But he was able to put away Nese with the Brainbuster, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Johnny TV versus Fuego del Sol. Of course, there was going to be some interesting moments. Fuego seems like he was almost in the verge of winning this match, but unfortunately, it was the Starship Pain by Johnny TV that picked up the win. Now, our main event, we have Queen Aminata and Red Velvet taking on Billy Starkz and Athena. But per request by Athena, she had Lexi Neer to be the ring announcer and all this. However, I had a suspicious feeling when I heard this. I'm like, Athena's up to something. And of course it did. We did see Lexi, like last time, if you guys didn't know, I did not review Death Before Dishonor. Lexi Neer helped Athena to retain the belt, and she tried to do it again. But this time, when all the confusion was happening, Billy Starkz used a championship to knock out Red Velvet, and just like that, she defeated her. So basically, she used this opportunity to pin Red Velvet in hopes to get another shot of the ROH Women's World Television title. But sooner or later, you got to ask yourselves, are they really going to have Red Velvet drop the title after winning it? I don't know. But if I know Queen Aminata, she'll try to do something to ensure things go exactly their way. But we'll see what happens next week. So until then, we are done with our reviews. So let's move on with news updates. Okay, Welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming promotions. Now, we only have from 2 promotions on their upcoming events. Now, as you know, with GCW, on the 17th of August, we have No Signal in the Hills in LA. A match has been announced. Maki Def Kill, Nick Gage, and Maki Ito will team up once again, and they face against Deathmatch Roy. Well, I don't know if they are Deathmatch. Mance Warner and Broski Jimmy. So that's practically going to happen soon. And then we have the homecoming event for night 1. Zilla Fatu will be in action to take on the one-man militia, Matthew Justice. Now, later on this month, by the end of August, Baka Gaijin Friends have a new show, and I pardon my language due to the fact of the name of the title. It's called Fucked Up Fest. Don't ask me why they call it that. This is Chris Brooks' show. I'm the messenger. Now, several matches have been announced involving this event, and this one's a big one. We have Mayuhiki versus Ram Kaicho, a 3-way match. Trans Am Hiroshi, Antonio Honda, and Yasu Urano. Then we have a international 4-way match. Shivam, Dr. Gore, Mamanoth, and Jake De Leon. We have Chiko Shikawa and Masahiro Takanashi teaming up. They face Sayaka and Tomonzak Toby. Then we have 2 Tyrannosaurus Rex facing off each other. Tyrannosaurus Ino and Tyrannosaurus Morozumi. That's going to be interesting. Then we have a tag match. Monotatsu Nakamura and Kota Ibushiko versus Keigo Nakamura and Kazumi Simo. Then we have Mr. Bueno versus Toy. And then we have a 4-way hardcore match. Shuna Katsumata, Maho, Dr. Yuki Oiki, and of course Chris Brooks. So those are what's happening right now for upcoming events. Now for some developments going on, Rossy Ogawa has revealed that there are currently 7 new trainees who are aiming to make their debut. Now we have seen the last one that recently made her debut named Yuki Minami. So we don't know who else will be making, but we know there have been girls in training. So we'll see what happens. Scott D'Amore, as you know, is back in the subject again. Ever since he was fired from TNA, there's been reports about him restarting an old promotion that was defunct, and that promotion is called Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, based out of Canada. So it's announced that their show will be in October, and names have been announced. We have Rash Desi, you may know him as Jinder Mahal, The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, Giselle Shaw, Kushida, and more. So more names will be announced, so we'll be following on this one. Fightful Select reports that a WWE employee who is the VP of Talent Relations Operation has departed. Now, I don't know the name of this person, but that's what it's been on the subject on that. Tom Billington, if you know him, he made his debut a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite. He goes by the name Dynamite Kid in honor of his great uncle, and it was Bret Hart who convinced them to use the moniker. So that's what Fightful Select reports, and it's great to hear that Bret gave him permission to use that name. Rey Fenix, as you know, this was reported by Sean Ross Sapp. He had to withdraw from September's independent booking. So basically, he's not. But there are many people who are suspecting that maybe there is the possibility he will be making his way to WWE sooner. So we'll just see what happens until then, until it's 100% confirmed. Now, Dave Meltzer recently talked about Kota Ibushi recently, as you all know, about the whole thing with Kenny. So this is what he said. Let me pull that up real quick for all of you. Yes, and this is what he said. He's coming back to to AEW. Basically, when Kenny Omega returned, he's returning. I don't know if there's an event, even a date for when Omega is going to return. I don't think it's so far off as before. He's getting better. I know that. So Dave Meltzer knows that Kenny will be returning, but it's still unclear when. So we'll see about that. And he recently and Dave Meltzer, of course, recently talked about Kelani Jordan, about how her progress as the as a women's North American champion. And this is what he said: Kelani Jordan is going to be an excellent as the real in this real soon. I mean, she is such a great athlete already. Personally wise, it takes time everything like that. But I think she's improving at the great rate. I think we can agree she is improving. We're not saying that she's going to be at the top, but she's progressing even further. Recently, as you all know, Mission Pro Wrestling, which is the promotion run by Thunder Rosa, apparently they are going to take an extended hiatus. We don't know when. Apparently, they're telling people that this is not the end of them, but they will be back in the future. So they assured many fans, just stay tuned when the time is right. It's not the first time they've done this, but just not to worry the fans. So if you guys are big fans of the Mission Pro Wrestling, then you have nothing to worry about. Gunther recently talked about Timothy Thatcher, talking about the away from his core values, but he respects him, and sticking to them. But this is what he said about him. I think Tim would be on a bigger stage right now if he would divert away from some of his core values and accept professionalism for what it is on a big stage. As much as I enjoy that gritty catch can shooting wrestling with no smoke and mirrors, in the reality is that it isn't going to draw the attention of a lot of people in 2024. In the end of the day, what we do is a business. But respect, he does make me happy. What does make him happy? You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not happy, then that's pretty useless. So he wants him to just grow up and be on a bigger stage. So that's what he's been saying. And recently, Bryan Danielson talked about Will Ospreay. He praises him recently. He talked about this with Talk Sports, and he went on, well, you see how good Will Ospreay is. You see it when you watch him, and then you wrestle him. He's more incredible than you think. When you wrestle him, I'm like, oh my gosh, how is it possible? I didn't know he was going to be good at interviews. He's really good at every aspect of wrestling. So basically, he now praises Will Ospreay. I mean, many people will praise wrestlers who've been in the game for far too long, and they see what an incredible wrestler you see in the ring or other things. But he's given props for that, so that's good for him. So I think that's pretty much it now for our updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. So we will see what happens. Now, I haven't decided yet what other reviews I will do before that. Now, I do know I made a judgment call on the Marvel shows. The Marvelous shows that happened. There is one that just recently took place recently. So I'm going to skip the other three, but I may put those on special episodes soon enough. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, we'll leave things as it is. So we'll just see what happens. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.